Hi, it's John Kelly. In this module, we are going to discuss the use of the internal audit function in the statutory audit. And as always, we want to be efficient and effective, follow professional standards, and document what we have done properly. Now, I am just going to give a brief overview of this. It's rather a long section, so I'm not going to go through it in detail. There are not that many clients that have an internal audit function, and even fewer of those are in the circumstance that we could actually use their work to save audit time. Now, there are actually three ways that we might use internal audit, and the first is in section 315, because the mere existence of an internal audit function helps when we're doing our risk assessment procedures, helps in our understanding of the entity and its environment, and the internal audit function can also be part of monitoring controls. The two ways that are discussed in section 610 are if we use internal audit work to replace work that we otherwise would have done, and for instance, a client has instituted a new system, and internal audit has done an extensive review of the controls in that system. Perhaps we don't need to look at it. Perhaps we can use the work of the internal auditor to replace the system testing that we might have done ourselves. Second way we can use internal audit is if internal audit has a spare staff person that can help us during the audit, we can replace one of our staff people with one of their staff people and reduce the audit fee. That's called direct assistance. Now, in order for us to use internal audit at all, the function must be objective, competent, and they must use a systematic and disciplined approach. And there are lots of requirements. Paragraphs 21 through 35 describe all the things we need to do and document in order to use the work of internal audit. And we have to be careful here because it may well be that complying with all of those requirements may take more time than the time we save by using the work of internal audit. So that's something that's going to have to be balanced in each audit. The requirements and the checking and the testing that we have to do before we can use their work may exceed the amount of time we save by using their work. So that needs to be considered carefully. And there's a bunch of documentation we have to do if we're just using their work. We have to document their status, their independence, and their competence, things like that. We have to document the work used, and we have to document how we checked that the work they did was sufficient and appropriate and was therefore enough for our purposes. If we're going to get direct assistance, we're going to use one of their staff people. There's even more. A written agreement is required. We need to review their work and things like that. So there are pretty extensive documentation requirements in addition to the procedures we have to do, and that may all mean that it is not efficient and effective to use the work of internal audit. So, thanks for listening.